right, thank you all so much for joining me for a Yin Yoga class. We're going to do 60 minutes of Yin Yoga, and then for anyone who would like to stay on, we will also do an optional 15-minute journaling session. I try to do this at the beginning of every month. I find journaling accompanied with yoga is a really nice way to kind of like get your creative juices flowing, open up your mind, open up your heart. And journaling, especially like once a month, is a really nice way to reflect on the month that's passed and look ahead to the month to come. So again, if after yoga you would like to stay for journaling, or if you just want to stay and listen, but you don't want to write, you can grab a pen and paper, or you can just, silently show yourself out of the Zoom too, and that is totally fine. So this is our first Tuesday in May, and it's also a really exciting day for nerds. I have my Baby Yoda tank top on, and I have my BB-8 water bottle here because it is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And tomorrow is Revenge of the 5th. Just kidding. Okay, so this is, I think, like a holy day in the year if you like Star Wars. There are a lot of cross-references between yoga and Star Wars, in my opinion. The whole idea of being a Jedi is deeply yogic, and in yoga, do or do not, there is no try, right? You're just going to practice your breath, practice moving your body. Doesn't really matter what it looks like or how deep you go into a posture. It's just about feeling good about yourself. Last little thing before we get started, this is a Yin Yoga class. You might want a couple of pillows or even a blanket nearby. You don't have to have them, but I find a couple of household items like pillows and blankets are really great for assisting us in postures. Yin Yoga is a floor-based, slow-paced style of yoga. We will hold postures for like 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll be still during that time. So it's a really wonderful way to kind of work deep into connective tissue. Enough talking, let's get to breathing. We're going to start with a fun breathing exercise today from the kundalini sector of yoga. Kundalini yoga is all about stimulating energy that emanates from the base of your spine. And we're going to do what's called a kirtan kriya. So in Sanskrit, kirtan means like a song or a praise or like a mantra. And then a kriya is an action. So we're going to put together saying something with moving our body and our breath. The particular kirtan kriya that we're going to do today is called Sa Ta Na Ma. So spelled out, it's S-A-T-A-N-A-M-A. It's believed to be closely related to the Sanskrit word Satnam, which means like your true essence, like the real essence of who you are. And then roughly translated, the syllables Sa relates to birth, Ta relates to life, the stage that all of us are in, Na relates to death, and Ma relates to rebirth. So Sa, Ta, Na, Ma, this chant that we're going to do is an ode to a cycle of birth and rebirth, which I think is particularly important in May when we're in a season of things springing up. And especially this year, if you're in Washington, D.C. or the surrounding areas with cicadas that will imminently be coming, once every 17 years, there's a lot of like life and death and rebirth, I think, surrounding us at this time, especially on the Eastern Seaboard. So for Satanama, we're going to do a hand gesture with it. So mudras, which you might have heard of that word before, mudra. A mudra is just a gesture. The same way you might like put your hands together in prayer, that would be considered a mudra. Or probably the most famous one, I'm going to come a little closer to you. The most famous mudra, right, is this guy. This is like, in fact, my little Om Gnome here. He's doing that same mudra, right? So this mudra is going to relate to Sa, or birth. So as you say Sa, you're going to put thumb and index finger together. Ta, thumb and middle finger. Sa, ta, na, thumb and fourth finger. Ma, pinky finger. So it'll look like this. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. We're going to do that for 2 minutes, and we're going to start kind of loud and then get a little bit like more whispery. And the idea is this vibration in your mouth, the sa, ta, na, ma, done with the intentional kriya, the action of the hand mudras, is supposed to like stimulate our life force energy, which is pretty cool and a little weird, right? It's kind of fun to be a little bit weird. So you're going to find yourself in a comfortable seated position. I'm going to sit crisscross applesauce. You can also sit in Sukhasana, easy pose, with one foot in front of the other. You're going to bring your thumb and index finger together, and we're going to go through sa, ta, na, ma, moving the hands. Ready? Sa, ta, na, ma. 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 Last one. Sa, ta, na, ma. And then just let your hands relax. You can close your eyes for a moment and sit up nice and tall. Relax your shoulders. Take an inhale through your nose for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through your nose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through your nose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through nose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowing down, inhale through nose for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly exhale through nose, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Learning to breathe slow. Inhale for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath, 10. Keep your shoulders down, 7. Jaw relaxed, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Going slower. Inhale, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding 15, 14, 13. You can do it. 10, 11, 7, 6, 5. Where are we? 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through nose. Doesn't have to be so silly for 13, 12, or so serious. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for a count of 15. You're going slow. Hold for 15. Keep the jaw and shoulders relaxed. Slowly exhale for 15. We're arriving at our 1 minute breath. Inhale through your nose for a count of 20. Hold for a count of 20. Exhale for a count of 20. Last one, inhale for a count of 20. Hold. And when you're ready, slowly exhale. Return your breath to normal, in and out through your nose. It's a breathing technique called a 1 minute breath, where you eventually inhale for 20, hold for 20, and exhale for 20. So the same way that a free diver might train their lungs to be able to hold breath for like minutes at a time, in yoga, not only are we working to expand our lung capacity, but we're learning how to be able to breathe slowly in and out through the nose. That's a fun technique that you can try. Maybe once a day you work on breathing for 10 seconds, hold 10, exhale 10, and then eventually you can work up to 20 for a long period of time. Enough breathing. Let's move to the hatha limb of yoga. Our yoga asanas begins our real yin yoga journey. I've been sitting on a cushion. I should have told you that. I'm going to remove the cushion. And we're going to start with a grounding posture called child's pose. You may have heard of it. So you're going to come into a tabletop position. From here, you have two options. You can have your knees and feet together, or you can keep your feet together and open your knees. Opening the knees will open the hips a little bit more. As you're ready, you're going to start to sink your hips down towards your heels and reach your arms forward so that eventually your forehead might touch the floor. Now in yin yoga, the idea is that we're going to make a shape with our body, hold that shape, and breathe through our nose. We're going to do a 5-minute child's pose. And if at any time you need to switch how you're sitting or grab a prop, you are welcome to do so. So a couple of variations that might help. If having your arms long overhead is a little intense for the shoulders, you can have your arms down by your side. This is called fetal pose instead of child's pose. And it's a nice alternative for anyone with tight shoulders. If you have tight toes, ankles, or knees, you're welcome to roll up your mats. There's little extra padding under your toes or knees. You could also place a thin blanket or towel under any sensitive lower body joints. Some other ways to use blankets or pillows: you can place a blanket in between your calf and thigh. You can place a blanket or pillow under your head or under your chest and shoulders for a little support. So if you'd like to grab, a blanket or a pillow or bring your arms down rather than long overhead, you're welcome to do that. And then once you've found a position that feels sustainable, where you can breathe through your nose, you're just going to hold. So sometimes, the most difficult part of yin yoga is the stillness, especially shout out to my 12-year-old yogi who's practicing today. I know that stillness is really hard. And of course, if you ever need to wiggle around, you are welcome to do so. As you deepen your yoga practice, please notice the difference between changing how you are, molded into a position because it doesn't feel right for your body, something is hurting, you're holding your breath, it's not sustainable,
versus moving around because being still is really uncomfortable, right? So through Yin Yoga, we're getting comfortable with being a little uncomfortable. We're getting comfortable with, just being with ourselves and just being with our breath. If and when you notice your mind wandering to something that happened earlier today, or maybe something you have to do after class, just notice that the mind has wandered away from the body and gently, compassionately return your mind back to your breath, back to your body, back to the ground beneath you and the air around you, breathing in and breathing out. At the beginning of class, we did that 20-20-20 breathing where we really worked to breathe slow. You don't have to restrict your breath in Yin Yoga, but sometimes I find that an Ujjayi breath helps to center my mind. So with an Ujjayi breath, you would gently constrict your throat so you breathe a little slower and longer. And speaking of May the 4th, Ujjayi breathing sounds a little bit like Darth Vader. So it's a little bit of a snoring sound against the back of your throat. Or I like to think of it, if I close my eyes and do that breathing, kind of sounds like when you put your ear to a shell at the beach. So if you want, you can even pretend that you're on your favorite beach in child's pose, breathing in and out through your nose. We have a little less than 2 minutes left. I'll allow us some time just to be still and enjoy our own company. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. As you inhale through your nose, feel the backs of your ribs expand, stretching the skin across your back, your torso. As you exhale, let go of any remaining tension in the body, just melting into the floor, melting into your yoga posture. As you're ready, you're going to start to look forward. Walk your hands in towards your body and very slowly, carefully press yourself up. There's no rush. This is a nice opportunity to do any kind of body movements that feel good to you. After holding a posture for a long period of time, you're welcome to do any sort of counter stretches that feel good to you. Trusting that your body knows what to do. And then turn, lie on your back for puddle pose. Lie with your arms and legs down by your sides. And in some styles of yoga, we call this posture savasana or corpse pose, but in Yin Yoga, we call it puddle pose, right? So if you practice 26 and 2 yoga with me, you've heard me describe savasana as like heels together, toes fall open, arms down, palms face the ceiling, eyes open, mouth closed, breathing normal, savasana. Some of you are having flashbacks, I know. But in Yin Yoga, it's more like act like a puddle, right? You can have your arms and legs loose and floppy out to the side as much as feels good. If you have lower back pain with your legs long on the floor, 2 options. You can bend your knees so your feet are on the floor and your knees rest side by side, or you can even place a small blanket or pillow under your lower back for support there. But in Yin Yoga, we're really just like trusting that our body knows what it wants, both in the postures and then when we return to this neutral state of puddle pose. So we will do a puddle pose between every set of every posture again, and especially like in child's pose, right? We stretch through the toes, the ankles, the knees, the hips. We made a nice long back. We grounded ourselves into the floor. The hips were probably a little higher than the head, so you got this nice rush of blood towards the head. At the same time, you probably didn't have a ton of circulation in the legs, right? Because the knees were bent and you were sitting down. So when we release out into this puddle pose, then the body is able to kind of reset. You can inhale through your nose and an exhale through your nose. Next, we will do banana pose, Bananasana. So before we begin, picture your favorite banana in your mind's eye. It can be perfectly ripe and yellow. It can be, super brown and bruised. It can be green, not yet ripe. It could be Chiquita, Dole, Trader Joe's, Costco, fair trade, organic, whatever that is for you. Maybe grown in your own backyard, depending on where you're tuning in from. So we're gonna make this fun banana shape with our body. Start by bringing your feet close together and your arms overhead. And if you'd like, you can stretch up and down, maybe flexing your feet or wiggling the toes. You're a little bit of a pencil here, just making your body long. And then start to walk your feet and your hands. I knocked over BB-8. Walk your feet and your hands towards the right side of your mat so that from a bird's eye view, you make a banana shape. So you're stretching the left side body, gently compressing the right side body. Couple options. You can cross your left foot on top of your right foot for an IT band stretch of the outer left thigh. You can also cross one hand on top of the other. You can keep the back of your head on the floor, or you can roll your right ear down towards the floor, looking slightly to the right side of the room. And we're gonna hold here for 3 minutes. So this is a really nice way to wake up the spine. In child's pose, which we held for like 5 minutes, right? We stretched and lengthened the spine. And now in banana pose, we're curving the spine. So you're bending your back in one direction. The spine moves in 6 directions: right, left, backward, forward, and twisting to each side. And we will do all of those in this class. Notice where you might be holding on to tension in your body, and see if you can let it go through the exhale breath. So in more active styles of yoga, like a 26-2 hot yoga, right, a power yoga, a vinyasa, we're often contracting muscles to get into postures. In yin yoga, you want to relax muscles to get into posture. So rather than like forcing or fighting or contorting in any way, you just think about like really melting into your mat, melting into your breath, melting into the ground below you. We have about 1.5 minutes left, and I'll allow us some time for silence, just enjoying your own company, breathing in and out through the nose. With about 30 seconds left, you can stay just as you are, or if you'd like a little bit of a deeper stretch at the end, you can move your hands and feet further to the right side of the room. So now you're really stretching the left side body. Take an inhale through your nose, and an exhale through your nose. We're going to come out of this carefully. If you have your right ear rolled towards the floor, roll your head back to center.
If your hands or feet are crossed, uncross, and then slowly bring your body back to the center line of your body. And again, center line of your mat, I should say. And any movements that you want to make, like maybe windshield wipers with your knees or stretching your arms apart, anything that feels good in between postures, do it. And then return to your puddle pose, making a puddle shape with your body. You can get as big as or as small as you want, especially if you're someone that kind of like tries to not take up too much space. Yoga can be a really safe space to be like big, right, and expansive. Or if you're someone who, has a lot of eyes on you and takes up a lot of space, like at your work or with your family or whatever that is, yoga can be a safe space to practice being a little bit smaller, right? So whatever suits you in this moment. Let's do the other side of Bananasana, banana pose. Bring your feet together, arms overhead. You can stretch up and down. And then move your hands and feet to the left side of the room. Now, for the sake of a little bit of symmetry, if you crossed your left foot on top of your right foot on the other side, you might want to cross your right foot on top of your left foot on this side. That being said, we are not symmetrical. This side might feel a little or a lot different, and that is normal. Nowhere in ancient Vedic texts does it say that yoga is about symmetry. Yoga is about self-realization and even God realization. And sometimes part of our self-realization is just realizing that like, oh, my right shoulder is tighter than my left shoulder. And that's your big takeaway from the day. And that's wonderful too. So if you notice like, my hip, does not feel good with my leg crossed, just because you crossed your leg on the other side doesn't mean you have to on this side. You just want to make a shape that feels good, hold the shape, and breathe through your nose. Notice where you might be carrying tension and see if you can let it go with your exhale breath. So with every exhale, the body gets a little heavier. And with every inhale, the spirit gets a little lighter. We'll hold here for another minute and a half. With about 30 seconds left, you can stay just as you are, or if you'd like, you can bring your hands and legs further to the left side of the room, getting a little bit of a deeper stretch at the end. Take an inhale through your nose, and an exhale through your nose. If you're looking to the left side of the room, roll your head back to center. If you have hands or legs crossed, uncross. Take your time, bringing everything back to the center of your mat. Any motions you want to do that feel good to you right now, go for it. Stretch it out, shake it off. Shimmy it out, and then return to your puddle pose. Breathing in and breathing out. Next, we're going to do a supine butterfly.
This is a posture that you are welcome to have some pillows. You can use some pillows in it or not. So I'll show you a couple variations. You're gonna start by bending your legs if they're not already, knees, feet together. From here, start to let your knees fall out to the side so that your ankles come to the floor and the insides of your feet touch. The closer you bring your heels towards your groin, the more you'll feel your hips open out. The closer you bring your feet to the back of your mat, the more accessible it might be if you have tight hips. You might find that your knees come closer to the floor. Now, because I have a little bit of a hip aggravation, I am going to put pillows underneath my knees, so there's a little bit of padding there. You are welcome to put pillows under your knees or thighs as well. You can put a little blanket under your lower back if that lower back is not feeling right. You can even put a blanket like under your head if that feels good. You're just gonna take a moment to find a shape that feels good for you. You can also have your arms down by your side, out to the side, or bend the elbows into a cactus or goalpost shape. And we're gonna hold here for 5 minutes. We are already a minute in. So this is a really great hip opener. It's a nice inner thigh stretch as well, but it shouldn't be painful, right? So if your heels are super close to your body and your hips are already screaming, go ahead and move your feet a little bit further towards the back of your mat space, right? Especially in yin yoga, when we hold postures for like 3 to 5 minutes. Less is more. You want to do about 70% of what you think you should be doing. And for my fellow go-getters, type A personality, push, push, push people, maybe do about 50% of what you think you should be doing, because I'm going to guess that what you think you should be doing is probably already more than what you actually need to be doing. So again, if you're someone who constantly feels the need to like prove yourself or get the deepest stretch in a posture, yin yoga can be really helpful on a mental, emotional, and even spiritual level. This is not the class to push yourself to your limits right away. This is the class where you're just going to practice stillness, compassion, patience, and breath in and out through your nose. Particularly when we do a little bit less, but hold the postures for longer, we work deep into connective tissue. The ligaments, tendons, and the fascia, this like weird spongy substance that kind of surrounds our body and keeps everything from, like floating off, right? So again, in a class, more of like a yang style yoga where you're, holding postures for like 30 seconds or a minute and contracting muscles to get into postures. Well, if you're only holding a posture for 30 seconds or a minute, sure, it might make sense to, go to your deepest point relatively quickly. But again, in this style of yoga and yin yoga, because we're holding the postures for longer, there's truly no rush. We still have 3 minutes left. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension in your body and let it go. And with the knowledge that there's still like 2.5 minutes left, right? We're halfway through. If what you're doing is not sustainable, I encourage you to switch up what you're doing, either by grabbing a prop or maybe, moving your heels or knees in a slightly different position. Now just allow us a little bit of time to enjoy our own company and breathe slow in and out through the nose. With about 30 seconds left, you can stay just as you are, knowing that the end is near. Or you can bring your heels a little bit closer towards your groin, letting the knees drop a little bit more for a deeper hip opener at the end. Take an inhale through your nose, and an exhale through your nose. Some people say that this is the most spiritual posture because it's the meeting of two souls. The insides of your feet touch the whole time. I love that joke. From here, we're going to slowly let those souls separate. So start to bring your feet towards the back of your mat and then just let your legs fall apart. And if you have pillows, you can remove those pillows, whatever prop you have. Again, make any sort of body movement that feels good to you, just trusting that your body knows what it needs. And then find your way back into your puddle pose, your stillness. So the same way that stillness is a practice, like I am not naturally good at stillness, I have to practice it. And even so, it's still not like my strong suit. The same way that stillness is a practice, trust is a practice, and trusting in your own body is a practice. So if you hear, that phrase like trust that your body knows what it needs to do, and you're like, well, I'm not sure actually that my body knows what it needs to do. Just think of it as a practice, right? You're gently going to practice really listening to what it is your body's telling you, really digging into your breath, staying in your breath, staying in your body. Inhale. And exhale. As you're ready, you're going to bend your legs if they're not already, so feet are on the floor. Roll off to one side. You can take a moment here and maybe hug your knees in and give yourself a big hug. And then keep rolling over onto your abdomen for what's called Sphinx pose. So picture in your mind's eye your favorite Sphinx. It can be the Sphinx in Egypt. It can be the Sphinx at the Luxor in Las Vegas. It can be the Sphinx in Harry Potter book 4. And we're going to make that shape with our body. So I'm going to show you from the front and the side. You're going to come onto your forearms so that your elbows are bent and your wrists are straight pointing forward. And if you picture a Sphinx, right, this is what they kind of look like. The biggest thing to keep in mind, or one of the biggest things, if you, like me, tend to let the shoulders sink into the ears, you do need a little bit of activation here to keep the shoulders out away from the ears. I'm going to show you from the side. A couple things to keep in mind. Eventually, elbows will be under the shoulders. However, depending on your spine mobility as well as your body proportions, this might be a little bit of an intense back bend. You're welcome to slide your arms forward so that your elbows are in front of your shoulders. If lying on your abdomen does not feel good for your stomach, you can place a blanket or a couple towels under your thighs so that your stomach actually hangs down. There's no pressure on the stomach. This is especially good if you are pregnant. And you can also put a blanket or pillow like under your chest, or for a deeper back bend, even under your forearms, right? So there's lots of ways to hold this posture. We're gonna hold here for 3 minutes, and we're already a minute in. Again, notice if the shoulders are starting to hunch up, press the shoulders down, roll the shoulders back and down. This is a really nice back bend, and it's a nice stretch through the fascia on the chest. You can let your feet be relaxed here. So especially in the modern, day, we tend to like drop our head down a lot, whether we're looking at our work, our food, our kids, or the number one reason we drop our head down, because we're looking at our cell phones, right? So back bends like this, they might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but they're really good for healing the spine and especially the neck. So keep your chin away from the chest, shoulders away from the ears, and we'll hold here for 1 more minute.
For the last 30 seconds, you can stay just as you are, or for my flexi folks looking for a deeper back bend, in the last 30 seconds, you can try seal pose. You're gonna press your palms down and straighten your arms. Drop the shoulders. So now you get a deeper back bend. This is called seal, and if you picture a seal, you can kind of picture it. Seal like the animal, not the singer, just for clarification. There's no scars. Okay, drop your shoulders, lift your chest. And slowly lower down, belly savasana. Couple options here. You can bend your elbows out, hands in. You can just have your forehead on the floor, or you can look to one side. So I'm going to start by looking to the left with my right ear on my mat. You can stay here, or you can even have your arms down by your side. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. If lying on your stomach does not work for you, no problem. You can lie on your side or your back instead. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head and look to the other side, stretching the other side of neck and shoulder. Gently lift your head, look forward, put your hands on the floor, and press yourself up into a kneeling position. We're going to stay here for just a moment, knees, feet together, hips on your heels, sitting tall. And we're just allowing blood flow to return once we're on the floor. So most of Yin Yoga is a floor-based yoga. However, there is one standing posture in the Yin Yoga canon, which we are going to do today. It is called dangling pose. And I will also provide an alternative for those of you for whom standing is not accessible or dangling pose does not feel good for your back. So as you're ready, you're going to put your hands on the floor and slowly stand up, especially if you have low blood pressure. Please be careful as you stand up. You've been on the floor for a while. Okay. You're going to bring your feet about mat width distance. Bend your knees a little bit. And start to fold forward. So it's called dangling pose for a reason. The idea is we're gonna dangle our body, right? So you can drop your head. You can put your hands on the floor, or I like to bend my arms and catch opposite elbow and opposite hand. So I'll show you what it looks like from the front. You can play around here a bit with taking a wider or shorter step. For more of a hamstring stretch, you would lift your hips up a little higher. Or if it's too intense on the backs of the legs, you can bend your knees a little bit more. So this is a really wonderful way to just let gravity stretch the spine, and you are getting a nice rush of blood towards the head. However, for some of us with back pain or a history of slip discs, dangling like this can put too much pressure on the back. For that, there's an alternative. If dangling pose is not working for you, put your hands on the floor, bend your knees, and come down into a seated position. You'll simply place your legs long in front of you and fold forward. You can either fold forward and let your spine round, or for folks where even that hurts the back, you can have your hands on the floor in front of you and go down with a flat back so that your spine stays straight. Keeping a flat back in a forward fold is really wonderful, again, for folks with herniated discs or any sort of degenerative disc stuff going on. Otherwise, you can fold forward or dangle forward. We're going to hold here for 2 more minutes. So again, especially in dangling pose, we're getting a nice rush of blood towards the head. And whether you're seated or standing, this is a great way to stretch the whole back of the body, the hamstrings, as well as the spine. See where you can relax just a little bit more. I like to tell this story. I once was doing this posture at yoga in the park, and I was looking behind me, and this squirrel just looked at me and was staring at me straight in the eyes. And the squirrel and I made eye contact. And I was pretty scared that the squirrel was going to run and bite me in the butt. But instead, we just had this lovely moment of human-squirrel interaction, which was pretty funny. So I think about that every time that I do dangling pose. This little squirrel looking at me in the eyes going, "What are you doing? You look ridiculous." I know.
Yoga's a little bit silly. Sometimes it's a little bit ridiculous. That's okay. Take an inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Notice where you might be holding on to tension. Let it go through the breath. In the final 30 seconds, if you'd like a deeper stretch, you can try lifting your hips or even pressing your knees back so the legs start to straighten. Or you can stay just as you are, knowing that the end is near. Take an inhale through your nose. And an exhale through your nose. If you are seated on the floor, you're going to slowly walk yourself up and then lie down in your puddle pose. If you are standing in dangling pose, we're going to take this slowly. I'm going to put my hands on the floor, bend your knees, take your time, and then slowly come into a seated position, doing any counter stretches that feel good for you. And then turn, lie on your back, puddle pose, just letting everything stretch out and realign. So in dangling pose, right, we got this nice stretch of blood towards the brain, and now you might feel the blood kind of redistributing through your body. We're going to end our last two postures, our spine twists, and I'm going to give 2 leg variations for spine twists. The first, bend your legs so your feet are on the floor. We're going to do what's called an eagle leg. So you're going to keep your left foot on the floor with your left leg bent. Wrap your right leg over your left leg like you're crossing your leg, right leg over your left leg, and then see if you can wrap your right foot behind your left calf. From here, bring your arms out to the side and roll to the left. So right hip stacks on top of left hip. Try to keep the right shoulder down on the floor. So the eagle legs is a really nice way to work through knee, ankle, and hip joints. However, it's not accessible to everyone, right? So if this eagle leg, this crossing of the legs, even just crossing the legs but not the foot doesn't feel good for you, you can also just have your knees and feet side by side and then twist. Eagle is one to be careful of, especially if you've had like hip replacement or any sort of hip stuff. Sometimes that internal rotation to the hip in eagle pose can be a little bit much. So again, you can just have one leg on top of the other. You can cross one leg on top of the other, or you can really go for it and try to wrap your right foot behind your left calf. Right shoulder on the floor, and we'll hold here for 3 more minutes. Try to drop the right shoulder down. Notice where you might be holding tension in your body, like your feet, your seat, your chest, or your jaw. Just let it go through the exhale breath. So in a world where we tend to hunch forward a lot, back bends are really great for the spine, like that Sphinx pose that we did. And so are spine twists, right? If you work at a desk all day, you might have figured out by now that it feels good to like stand up every hour, put your hands on your back and do a little back bend. But spine twists are also really crucial to back health. So make sure, even on days where you don't have time to do like a full yoga class, make sure you're doing a few back bends and spine twists throughout your day. It's really good for resetting your back. I think spine twists are kind of like the unsung hero of like a healthy body mobility. We're also doing an abdominal twist here, right? Spine twists are also really good for digestion. If you ever have an upset stomach, some version of a spine twist like the one we're doing is good for helping to calm the stomach and push out gas bubbles. About a minute left here. I'll just leave us some time for stillness, silence, enjoying our own company. Take an inhale through your nose. And an exhale through your nose. Slowly, carefully press yourself back, right hip down, right shoulder down. Unwind or uncross your legs, arms and legs down. Puddle pose. Again, any motions that feel good to your body, feel free to do them, right? You're practicing that trust that your body knows what it needs. And then you're practicing your stillness. Let's do the other side. Bend your legs so your feet are on the floor, knees rest together. You can have your arms out to the side. And a couple options, right? You can just keep your knees and feet together and roll to the right. So left hip stacks on top of right hip, left knee on top of right knee. Or you can cross that left leg over the right leg, roll to the right. Or you can try wrapping that left foot behind the right calf, eagle legs, and then roll to the right. Left hip on top of right hip. Try to keep the left shoulder down. Again, you might notice that this side feels a little or a lot different, and that's okay. So much of this yoga is just noticing who we are in this moment, and then, gosh, like really practicing self-acceptance of who we are in this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. Again, rather than forcing or fighting or contracting muscles to get into the posture, you just want to relax and breathe into the posture. See if there's one more inch of your body that could soften, one more muscle that can release. Maybe one more corner of your brain that you can just turn off as you breathe in and out through the nose, holding here for 2 more minutes. Take a slow inhale through your nose. And an exhale through your nose. As you're ready, you're going to slowly roll yourself back to center, uncross or unwind your legs, arms and legs down. This is our final puddle pose. If you want to make it extra luxurious, you can place like a pillow under your head or under your legs. You can put a blanket over you if it feels good. And we have 2 minutes here just to enjoy our own company. So Yin Yoga, which we practice today, comes sort of as a reaction to more intense styles of yoga. Again, like a vinyasa, power yoga, 26 and 2 hot yoga. And the idea, right, is like yin and yang. So yang energy is considered sometimes masculine, solar. It's described as the right side of the body. Yin energy is described as sometimes feminine, lunar, the left side of the body. I say this all to say I do not believe in binaries. The same way that we have day and night, we also have dusk and dawn and foggy days and smoky days. And the same way that we have, black and white, we have a million shades of gray. And the same way that we have, masculine and feminine, we also have many fellow yogis who do not fit in those neat categories. And I encourage you, while it's important, I think, or nice to acknowledge, like a yin style of yoga is a slow-paced style of yoga. It's a relaxed style of yoga. It's also important to acknowledge that we are not binary. Our world is not binary. Our life is not binary. And you are super dynamic, right? There's nothing about you that's just like black or white, night or day, male or feminine. We're all like really organic, interesting mixes that make us uniquely who we are. And if nothing else, right, the whole point of yoga is that self-realization, just realizing a little bit more about who you are, right? And then learning to love you, meeting yourself, exactly who you are and where you are. Take an inhale through your nose, feel your chest rise. And then exhale through your nose, feel your chest fall. Sa, ta, na, ma. Birth, life, death, rebirth. We are all somewhere in that cycle. I'm going to guess that most of us are in the life cycle, unless you are a ghost, which is pretty cool. But we're all in this cycle, and none of it is permanent. So we're just really enjoying this present moment, knowing that it won't last forever. Sa, ta, na, ma. Digging into your Satnam, your true essence. Breathing in through the nose, and let it all go through the exhale breath. In a moment, we'll transition into an optional journaling time. You have a couple options. You can just stay in final Savasana and kind of listen to what we're doing and just enjoy it. You can slowly press yourself up, maybe grab a sip of water, grab a paper and pen. Or if journaling is not your thing, or you've got somewhere else you need to go, I totally understand. You can just quietly leave our Zoom. If you would like to stay for reflection, take a moment here. Again, just finding a piece of paper and a pen. If you want to grab a sip of water, you can do that. So yoga is a really wonderful way to ground us in our body, to calm, cool, and soothe us, and also to open us up, right? So rather than breaking down, we're breaking open. And I find that after yoga, I am often at my most creative, focused, loving. I'm at my most honest self. So this can be a really nice time to reflect or even journal. So that's why we're doing journaling after yoga, right? And I always like to begin journaling with a gratitude prompt. So you can just start here simply by writing down 20 things that you're grateful for. And at first that might come really quick, like, my mom, my dad, my partner, the sun. And then at a certain point you might go, oh, 20 things. Just let them flow, right? Just let your pen stay on the paper, writing down 20 things you're grateful for. Gratitude is a really wonderful practice. It's free and it's accessible to anyone at any time. I am very careful not to practice what's called toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is where I say, oh man, this really horrible thing happened at work. And you say, but the silver lining is, right, X, Y, Z. Or I say, oh my gosh, like my aunt just died. And you say,
everything happens for a reason. God has a plan. I'm very cautious not to delve into toxic positivity. And at the same time, no matter our life circumstances, there are always things that we can be grateful for. So this is an opportunity to practice gratitude. Okay. So as we find ourselves on the first Tuesday of May, I invite you to look to the month that has passed, this last April, and see if you see any themes from your April, anything that pops out to you as themes from your April, themes from the last month. And then looking to the month ahead, to this coming May, what is it that your heart most desires for this next month? And because you're writing in your journal, nobody has to see it. You could even burn it afterwards. Be as honest as you want to be about what exactly your heart desires for the coming month of May. During our yoga class, we chanted Sa Ta Na Ma, which again roughly translates to mean birth, life, death, and rebirth, our constant cycle. As we look not just towards a new month, but really towards a changing season, this beautiful May, April, June, springtime season, where do you see cycles of birth, life, death, and maybe even rebirth? Where do you see life cycles taking place in the spring season? The same way that Satanama kind of relates to Satnam or true essence. What is your true essence? Who are you really on the inside? What is your Satnam, your truest essence? And last but not least, where do you think your true essence, that thing that makes you uniquely you, your truest essence, your Satnam, where do you see that needed in your family, your friends, your community, or even our greater world? Where do you see your truest essence fitting into your community and the greater world around you? We'll take about 30 more seconds. You are welcome to continue writing for as long as you'd like. For the sake of time, we will wrap up our journaling. And like I said, this is something just for you. You can return to it, maybe at a point this month where you're feeling a little lost, or you can even if you have a fire safe way of doing this, you can burn it or do whatever ritual feels good with it, or just hold on to it for a rainy day as something to check back in as far as your true essence, right? Who you are, how you are, and your place in this beautiful and broken world. Have a wonderful Tuesday. May the 4th be with you. And I will see you tomorrow for Revenge of the 5th. Bye, friends.